Hi, everyone.
We're back.
We are back.
It feels like longer than 2 weeks.
Every time it feels a little bit longer. I miss it when we're not together.
I know, I've missed you too. And we're
nice to be
talking about intimacy tonight.
I know. It's a great topic.
It's like one of my favorite topics. So,
especially fresh off the heels of vulnerability.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
If you didn't catch our last talk, 2 weeks ago we talked about vulnerability, which I feel ties immensely into intimacy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they go hand in hand, which is why this is it's like the best month to talk about these two topics.
Yeah, because I think that intimacy is sort of based off of shared vulnerability. So when you're vulnerable with someone and they're vulnerable in return, there's a safe space created. And that's the beginning of intimacy. That's the creation of it.
Absolutely.
In my opinion.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. For those tuning in, lots of love.
It's nice to see everyone.
And I'm going to do a card pull now just to see. This was a deck that was gifted to me for my birthday. It's called Path of the Soul, and it's like fractal energy cards, and then there's a reading. So we're going to see what card is kind of tying into the theme of intimacy. And I feel like this is a very important topic because I feel a lot of people have a misconception on intimacy.
Oh.
2 cards came out.
They came out real quick.
Yeah. So we have number 11, which is November,
of course,
and number 2. So there we go. So these are the cards.
Images are beautiful.
Aren't they stunning?
Yeah.
So we kind of want everyone to connect into those. And then I'll take pictures and we can post them later.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, they're beautiful. So I'm going to keep those down here as we're going to share.
Perfect.
So I know you're not feeling well, so I want to thank you for still coming.
Oh, of course.
And
I already feel better being here. If you see my shiny neck and chest, I got hooked up with some cold rub.
Very intimate.
It was. We were very intimate.
Yeah.
She made me tea. She rubbed my neck.
Yeah. Taking care.
You were taking care of me. I felt very cozy as soon as I walked in here. It's very lovely to be taken care of. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, it's very nice.
I do it very naturally, as most of us do. We're natural caregivers.
It's true.
And so how does that tie into intimacy? I want to first put it out there for people to actually think about. So what does intimacy mean for you? So if you just for a moment, whoever's listening or whoever's going to tune in later, if you just kind of close your eyes with me and Sarah, take a nice deep letting go kind of breath. And just think about the word intimacy. What does it bring up for you? Is there discomfort? Is there excitement? Is there confusion? Is there tension? Just kind of bring that awareness to your cognitive mind. And let's just breathe into that word intimacy for 3 breaths together. And you can place your hand on your heart or your chest if you like, or a hand on your solar plexus or belly. And let's just breathe it in. So with each inhale, we're just going to breathe in the word intimacy. And then exhale. Inhale. And then exhale. Inhale. And exhale. That's better. So for me before, I'll just share, like intimacy for me before almost felt like it had to do with being sexual with somebody or all having to lead up to the bedroom.
That's such a huge misconception I think most people have about what it means to be intimate with someone. That's not what we're talking about.
No. I mean, that could be like intimacy part 2, which we talk about on another night. But I feel like there's a foundation of intimacy that you first need to have before you could ever even be intimate with another person. the intimacy, I feel, starts within. It starts with that connection that you have to yourself, to your core. And it's that, I want to almost call it your, for all of the females listening, that inner goddess energy that we all have that has kind of laid dormant. It's been put to sleep. It's been put to sleep for, I'd say, 26,000 years.
Just a little while.
Just a little bit. Which is why you're always hearing about the divine feminine is rising and we're stepping back into our power. And yes, it is happening. But these are things that that happen in cycles in our lifetime. We're just living out cycles after cycles after cycles. So right now we're in this cycle where the feminine energy is rising.
Yeah, and you could feel that.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
But with that comes a lot of confusion and guilt around intimacy.
Exactly.
Because we've been taught to kind of hold back and repress and to close off ourselves, to protect ourselves. And so when we spoke about vulnerability 2 weeks ago, there's that sense of openness and of expansion.
Sort of breaking down that armor that we've created for ourselves.
That's right.
And really allowing someone else in.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's where the intimacy comes in. So the intimacy can only come in when we allow for ourselves to be vulnerable.
That's right.
To be seen, to be open. It's in those spaces where somebody else can see you for you as you are.
With yourself.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so it kind of ties back into the conversation we had. We kind of set out that challenge for people, you know, looking at yourself naked in the mirror, you know, dancing sensually, even like just touch. You know, these are very intimate things that we can do to kind of bring this energy to us.
That's right. And when was the last time you just took some time and sat alone with yourself? You sat down and you had a cup of tea and you just took some time to be intimate with your thoughts and yourself and just really truly connect with who you are. That's a form of intimacy.
Absolutely, because there's something that builds in that, so that when you're in the presence of another, and intimacy for me, and I know you agree because we talked about it beforehand, is not just between a man and a woman. It's not between just lovers. It's between friends.
I think that goes hand in hand with that misconception of that intimacy automatically means something sexual, and that's not true. And then that's why people sort of can't open necessarily their mind to the idea that you can be intimate with your friends, you can be intimate with
your family.
A family member, you can be intimate with anyone. It doesn't lead to the bedroom all the time. That can be a byproduct of being intimate, absolutely, but it's not where it begins.
No, because we all want to be seen, validated, and loved unconditionally. But the only way to allow for that experience to be felt is when we open ourselves up.
That's right.
To the intimacy. It's like sharing who you are at your core with another person, uninhibited.
That's right. Judgment free.
Right. And then just seeing what comes back to you, what gets reflected back to you.
Holding no expectation, holding no judgment, and just being truly, authentically you.
Yes.
Yeah. And I would say that, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No,
you were going to say something. Is it sort of, I would even say that the road to intimacy begins with where the whole concept behind this is conversations are creating connections that are building the pathways for us to build these intimate connections. Yeah.
Absolutely. I believe it all starts with conversation, but even before conversation, it starts with the look. It's like when I look in your eyes, what do you feel like when I look at you?
Oh, seen. Very seen.
Right.
And very comforted.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like when I'm looking at you, I'm looking inside of you. And you can feel that. I once had somebody say to me that when I look at them, it's like I'm looking directly into their soul. They had to look away. They're like, oh my gosh, it was so intense for them.
Could be intimidating for someone who has that armor up, who has something that they want to shield and protect and hide from the world.
Absolutely. Right? Absolutely. Which is why intimacy first starts with yourself. self.
Exactly. Take yourself on a date.
Right.
Well, you don't even have to go leave the house, but try and do something for alone.
But that's what I did on Saturday, and that's what I want to share. So I was very intimate with myself on Saturday, and I'm going to share this because I had 3 hours to myself because my girls went to the Parade of Lights with a friend, and I was like, what do I want to do? And I wanted to have a bath, but not just any bath, because anyone can just draw a bath. For some reason, I thought of ancient Egypt and decided to bathe myself in milk and honey.
Oh, that's so luxurious.
It was something else.
That sounds delightful.
And it wasn't all milk, so it was warm water first. And then it was like a cup of milk, and then a few tablespoons of very luxurious honey.
Not enough to get y'all sticky.
No. But it makes your skin, feel my skin. Right? Right, it feel right there. It's like nice
very soft.
I am
very soft.
Yeah, I know. I'm very intimate with myself. I take care of myself. But
self-care is a form of intimacy. Practice it.
Absolutely. And then I was putting essential oils into this milk and honey. So I was like, what oils do I want the emotion to come out tonight? So I took rose, which is a very expensive oil. So I just did a couple of drops. And then frankincense.
Oh,
it was beautiful. So frankincense is a really good meditation oil, and it connected me into my higher self. Yeah. So here's this bath. I'm drawing it out. I put in the milk, the honey, and the oils. And then there's this beautiful chanting, and it is a prayer. And prayer for me it's a vehicle. For me, it's not associated to religion per se. It's words that are very divine and it have a very high vibration, and it allows for me to connect deeper within myself. So I love listening to chanting music or any type of sound, especially drum.
Oh yeah.
But this one was a chant that was in Arabic. It was a prayer that was in Arabic, and it was 20 minutes long. And I was in the bath listening to this, and I just felt so divine. Like I felt like I had this coating of love that was surrounding me.
Oh, that sounds beautiful.
It was amazing. And then, I was just looking at my skin in just awe and amazement that I'm here in this life. And I was so grateful and so blessed and
present.
Yes. And I was just like very carefully cleansing and taking care. Like that's intimacy.
That's intimacy.
And it leads the way and the pathway to then feel so connected to yourself. And when you're connected to yourself, you can then find your way to connect with another.
That's right. That's when you sort of build on that strength. It's again, it would be like another muscle, like vulnerability and the things that we've spoken about before. And sort of the more you practice that and build it up, the easier it is and the more comfortable you are to open yourself up and allow yourself to be intimate with someone else. But I couldn't agree more with that. It starts with you. It starts with that bath. It starts with a cup of tea. It starts with, if it's a good book for you, whatever it is for you that feels indulgent and something that you're really going to be present and be mindful and be aware and be alone with yourself and be intimate with yourself.
Yeah. That's very important. And then also like, when you have that connection with somebody else, I find a lot of the times the most powerful moments of intimacy are not spoken. It's not through word. It's through just being seen, like looking at somebody and just holding space. Very powerful.
Yeah, I've had moments of intimacy with complete strangers because of eye contact that we've made with one another across a room, across a store, wherever you are. Yeah. And that's the thing too about intimacy is it's not, we want to hold on to it, but because you had a really intimate conversation with a friend one day doesn't mean that you're always going to be that intimate with that person. So that's sort of another misconception of that it's always going to be a thing. I think that we have to really soak it in and take it in for what it is. And sometimes you can miss that if you're not present and in the moment. You can miss those.
You nailed it. So when we're not present in the moment, we miss the intimacy. Like if our physical body is here, but mentally we're somewhere else, we're missing the connection.
Exactly. It's gone. You missed that bath. You got in a bath.
That's right.
That's all you did.
Yeah.
If you weren't present and aware, you weren't doing your to-do list on what you were going to do the next day.
That's
and
right.
all the things that you had to do and whatever.
Absolutely.
You took that time and you were present and you were intimate with yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel a lot of people don't fully connect into the intimacy with themselves and with others, because we're always ahead of ourselves. Like we're always trying to plan the next thing.
That's right.
Or get to the next place. Or we're thinking about a story from the past.
That's right.
And so that doesn't allow for us to be in this now moment.
Even when you're in conversation with someone else, if you're not present and aware and someone is opening to you and being intimate with you and you're not present and there and you're spending the entire time thinking about what you're going to say next, but it was something that they said 6 points ago, and then when it's your time to speak, you make that point that was 6 points ago and they're like, okay, I'm not even talking about that anymore, because you've tuned that out. You can't be intimate if you're not present and aware. You just can't.
No. And we can invite intimacy in. That's the juicy bit, is that when you're ready for it, you can call it into your life.
Absolutely.
And if you're ready to receive it, it will come. That's just the way the universe responds. It's very electromagnetic. So it's like whatever intention you kind of set out, it will find its way to you. You just have to be ready and prepared without an expectation of how you think it's going to look.
Exactly. It's that, I think that was really important that you just said, is without expectation, is not holding on to that expectation that it's going to come to you in a particular way, because it might come to you that day in the glance of a stranger.
That's right.
Across the road or on the bus or whatever that is.
It doesn't have to be romantic.
No, it doesn't have to be romantic at all. It's those connections. It's those, when we first drummed together that night.
Oh yeah.
How magic and intimate was that? We were surrounded by 15 other women. I felt like we were the only 2 people in the room.
Yes.
Right?
And that's where I want to lead in. So intimacy can lead to very, it's universal life force energy. And this is where it gets confusing, because universal energy and sexual energy are one and the same. So it feels very, like it can feel very sexual.
Sensual.
Yeah. And I've had experiences where my body is just full of so much energy that I'm vibrating. I feel this buzz, this excitement. And I read a post the other day. I'm going to share. It's that, the word orgasm comes actually from this sense where people used to gather together and they used to celebrate through singing, chanting, dancing, and drumming. And it was through this energy that they all cultivated together in a room where it became very intimate and filled with this sensual, sexual energy, which lasted for days after. Like people were intoxicated off of their own.
What a thing to be in tuned to.
Right?
Yes.
And I feel like I've just kind of ass backwards stepped into that energy. Like I just
didn't even know.
No.
Just here you are.
Because I
get intimate with everyone.
Right. But it's through the intimacy.
In the non-sexual way. Yeah.
It's that connection. It's the bridge to the divine. It's that bridge to this transcendence, this energy of we are more than just this body in this moment. We can experience the most intoxicating feelings without, it's called false grounding, and in the terms that I want to use, false grounding meaning like through alcohol or drugs or any substance outside of ourselves, we can feel super connected and grounded and in this amazing flow of life just through our breath.
Absolutely.
And being in the right energy, being vulnerable and intimate.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be through sexual touch or contact.
No, not at all. And I think that that's something that I really feel strongly that needs to be sort of cleared up, and this misconception of it doesn't have to always be this grand romantic gesture. That's not
it can, like some relationships can lead to that.
Absolutely. We're not saying that doesn't happen.
But I truly believe that relationship first starts with us, like within ourselves.
Yeah. Are you someone who you can't be alone? You find yourself that you've got a day with no plans and that causes you anxiety and you need to make a plan, or even an hour or two without plans and you need to find something specific to do, I would say that that's listen to your body. That's not what it wants. It wants to be alone with you. It wants to be intimate with you.
Ooh, that just gave me goosies.
Oh.
Oh my God.
It's like, listen to your body, listen to those goosebumps, listen to that. I'm sure that there's somebody out there listening that resonated with. You find yourself always needing to be occupied and busy and keeping your brain on the go, but really it just wants you to slow down and get to know it and take some time and be alone with it.
That's right. But that's what happened when I took my bath. Like, I could have done a million things having those 3 hours to myself.
That's right.
But I chose to really indulge myself and my body, and as a result, I'm in an amazing space. I had an amazing Sunday. I had an amazing day today. And it's attributed not only to the indulgence and the intimacy that I gave myself, but also with the connections that I've made. Like, I had a beautiful session this afternoon, and I met up with a beautiful human this morning, and it was so intimate and so beautiful. And what I loved about my session this afternoon was this goddess energy came through, and I feel,
oh yeah, you were telling me about that.
And I feel like, because I was holding a space of intimacy, that energy was able to be held for another person to witness, and to receive that within themselves, because the goddess Lilith came through. And for those who don't know who Lilith is, she's a badass goddess. But she's one that most feared, because she is the goddess of the shadow. She is the goddess of the night. And when I was drumming for this beautiful soul, I was sent on a vision quest. And when I was there, it was like an evening scene. And she was standing there with long dark hair and in a black dress. I'm like, oh, and it felt dark. It felt so dark. And I, in my ego mind, I was like, oh, but she should be in sun. But no, you don't have to. We are, we're made up of duality, the light and the dark.
We function with the polarity, with the light cannot survive without the dark. They need one another.
Right. And so when we can be intimate, and this is where the goddess Lilith comes in, and she's such a powerhouse. She allows for us to be intimate with our dark side, with our shadow, because we all have it. I was struggling with mine on Friday. I was very frantic and angry. I was so agitated, and I didn't.
And that's okay.
But I didn't know why. But I had to honor it. I had to sit in it. I had to lean into it. And I didn't try to reject it or push it outside of myself. I just was more kind to myself. I was more nurturing.
Right. You were gentle with yourself, and you realized that this is how I feel right now. So I'm going to allow myself to feel it instead of beating myself up for feeling that way.
Right.
I'm going to go through it.
Right. But I did it from a place of intimacy, like really being with it and in it and holding that space for myself. And I was able to work myself out of it and through it. I didn't allow for it to bring me down or hold me back.
Was there something that you did, like anything specific, or you just
no? It's just I woke up and I was like, I was cranky. Like,
to get through it. I suppose.
Oh, to get through it, right? Yeah. Well, it's the foundation of it all is self-awareness.
That's right. And so because you are very, very on top of that, you knew enough to know, like, I feel this way today.
That's right.
So I'm going to honor this, and these are the kind things I can do to myself.
Right. I knew I was in my shadow, and it just so happened that it was Mercury retrograde that day. So everything turned to polarity. So now, because I'm so highly sensitive, I'm witnessing it through my own body. And all that really means is that we're now moving from light into dark. And it's when we're in the dark where we have an opportunity to learn and grow and to bring more light into our shadow aspects.
So I would say that those of you who are those people that we were speaking about earlier, that you don't want that alone time, you don't want those few moments alone with yourself, is that maybe because you are a little afraid or intimidated of your shadow side, and that's who comes to you when you are in those moments.
Oh my God, I think you just freaking nailed it. It's freaking nailed it. I love this woman so much. Oh, that's it.
That's
why we avoid.
That's right, because it's the shadow. I'm really hot now.
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
Sorry.
It's the tea too. We got a blanket and the tea and the rub and the.
That's
yeah.
it.
Yeah, it's exactly. You're afraid of that shadow side.
Right.
And so you don't want to be alone with yourself because for some reason we have built this fear around that.
Right. So this is why the goddess Lilith had to come in tonight. It's
Mhm.
for those who are watching or those who feel inclined. Go to Pinterest or Google her and read about her and invoke her energy because she can help us now through this shadow period. So anytime we're in a place where we feel like we're in the muck, in the sludge, in the darkness, know that that is a part of who we are. We are made up
That
of both.
exists in all of us.
The light and dark. I sent a quote to a friend today. No mud, no lotus.
Exactly. Exactly.
No mud, no lotus.
Think about that.
It's powerful,
How beautiful is the lotus?
right?
Yeah.
And so
And it
delicate
lives in
and
mud
so
and muck.
right.
Yeah.
The most dirtiest water grows the most beautiful
Mhm.
flower. How is that possible?
And how beautiful are all of us?
right.
And guess what? We've got muck in us too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But that's the human condition. That's the human experience. If we don't have suffering, if we don't know what suffering is, how are we going to appreciate the blessings? How are we going to have a benchmark and
That's-
understanding for love, harmony, compassion?
Exactly.
How can we if we have no reference point?
Exactly. Exactly. How can we appreciate and know the goodness of the light if we
Right.
don't understand the darkness and
Right.
what it has to offer too?
But that's
And I shouldn't say that that's not good in it. Like there's goodness in the dark.
absolutely. But that's where the intimacy kind of ties in with all of that. It's learning to immerse yourself into all of you with
That's
that
right.
with that vulnerability and with that
That vulnerability and no judgments.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
All of the things that we've been doing in Love Spoken here, the take ones, the two, but these are all building blocks.
That's right. They're building blocks. I'm excited to see what happens for us in the new year.
Right?
Yeah.
This is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
So we'd love to hear all of your thoughts on vulnerability
If you
too,
want to,
but
for sure.
intimacy. Like, is
Yeah.
what we're saying resonating for?
Is it hitting home for anyone?
Was there another definition or a thought that you guys had in regards to intimacy? And we're gonna see if we can see what comes up on our comments. We really, I get a lot of thumbs up. I see
Mhm.
those. But if we don't see the comments now, we love going back and reading the comments after.
We love hearing from you. Love
And the
hearing
private
from you.
messages. And I feel like it's super important that we start these conversations because I feel a lot of people are really confused right now.
Mhm.
There's a lot of stuff that's coming up in people, whether they like it or not. Energies are moving and shifting. And so people are faced with this heaviness that they could be feeling in their chest, in their throats, in their heads, in their solar plexus. And this is a lot of this energy has to do with when we come into our shadow or the dark,
Mhm.
we run. We hide, we repress, we don't want to deal with it.
With the busy.
We keep busy in the busy.
Mhm.
But now we're asking you all to stop.
Slow down. Collaborate and listen. No, sorry.
Stop, collaborate, and listen.
Just gonna have a little dance party over here.
I do a lot of dancing.
Yeah.
Yeah. But this is it. Like slowing down and knowing that there is no fear in the shadow.
That's right.
There's where that intimacy comes in. It's learning to be intimate with all parts of you. Because when you're fully accepting and understanding and loving of all of those parts, you will attract a conscious lover.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You will attract a conscious friendship. You will attract people in your life who are going to reflect that and reflect you in your brilliance and in your light.
Exactly.
It's just the way the universe works.
That's how it's energy.
all
We are
magnetic.
all energy. Everything. This table is energy. We
Yep.
are all energy. It just moves much slower than our energy.
That's
Everything
right.
is energy.
That's right.
So you're going to attract it.
Yes.
So if vulnerability and intimacy is something that you want, then I would say if it's something that you want and you're not receiving it in the form that you're looking for it in, A, stop looking for it in a particular form.
That's right.
And B, you really gotta fucking work on yourself.
Yes.
You have to.
Yep.
You have to.
You have to love
Sorry to
yourself.
sound preachy.
No, but it's not. Well, this is why we're doing this platform. Like,
That's
we're
right.
sharing our wisdom, our personal experiences, in hopes that it resonates for those who are drawn to listen, so that we can have these conversations. I feel
Right.
a lot of people are really confused, and I didn't know what intimacy was.
No, I had such a misconception.
Like,
Kitties.
there's the cat trying to get a point across.
Yeah.
And it's the game cat
Yeah.
stats, which I feel like is it. Luna's telling us it's time to cut the
Yeah,
show.
exactly.
You guys have talked.
Yeah, Luna's like, you made already your good points. Give it up, ladies.
So we're gonna leave it at that.
Yeah, but this is why we do it. We connect because, you know, what you said is exactly that too. People are feeling heavy right now in these times, and you don't have to feel heavy. You don't have to carry that weight alone. We are here. We're trying to create a community. We want you to feel connection, and we want you to feel that we hold safe space for you to be able to share, because it's with that connection, as we've said many times before, that it's with the communication that the connection is built. And now I'm rambling. We should probably read the cards. Yeah.
Okay, card number 11. Are you ready to see what the message is for intimacy? In flow. This is expression in full flow. Let yourself be heard. Let yourself shine. Time to take center stage. This is all about feeling the universal flow of energy, joy, creativity, and communication. Sing, dance, and let yourself be seen in all your glory. Set your creative inner being free. You can't make this shit
You
up.
can't make this shit up.
Express all those things inside of you that would normally hide from the world.
Interesting.
Isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
And then the next card is number 2. And number 2 is encoded. When others see nothing, you see the deeper meaning or message hidden within. Your guides are working to communicate with you as your intuition and inner knowing expands. Be mindful of all that you are experiencing in each moment. Be aware of animal messages, cloud formations, colors, conversations of others, and anything else that catches your attention. You are taking the next step in awareness and connection to the unseen worlds.
So be present, be aware, spend some time alone with yourself.
And that's your bridge to intimacy and its fullness. Those cards couldn't have been any better.
They were perfect
for tonight.
Yeah.
When we are able to connect into that intimate energy, we are in flow with the universal life force. You are unstoppable. When I'm in that energy, all the doors are open. All the lights are green. Like when I'm going anywhere, so when I'm driving and I'm like, may I get there with ease and grace, and I'm in that intimate flow within myself, every freaking light is green.
Right.
Everywhere as I go, like anything that I want, I manifest it.
Right.
It's like, oh my God, I really want that bag of chips. And then I just go.
And then they're there.
And it's there.
Yeah.
It's, oh, I really want that person to call me. Or I'm just thinking of this person, and then they freaking message me. And I'm like, there it is.
That's how it works. And I was grumpy when I left the house tonight. And my mind was thinking about everything but driving. And I got every red light. And I got behind every person who wanted to turn when I wanted to go straight. And yeah. And then I walked in here and I got tea and I got love.
I gave you an
intimacy.
intimate, right?
Yeah, that was nice.
And I love you.
I love you.
Unconditionally.
Unconditionally.
And it's not a romantic love. It's just this deep love. It's just this deep understanding and knowing from one human to another. I see you.
I see you, I hear you, and I respect you.
Right. That's intimacy. There it is, folks.
Love you.
Lots of love.
Thank you.
Have a great night, and we want to hear from you. And all to everyone who's waving. Wave back.
Bye.
Bye.